Okay, so today when we are working with our point slope form, we're going to be writing the equation of the line given 2 points instead of, yes, in our previous, what we've done so far, 4.7, so they gave us a point and the slope. So if they give us 2 points, the first thing we're going to have to do is find the slope using the slope formula. So we're going to find the slope using that slope formula that we already have used and already know about. Anybody remember what it is? Right? What is it? That's slope-intercept form. We have all kinds of things to remember, but you're remembering slope-intercept form. Josh, what is the slope formula?
Y minus y sub 1 equals m parentheses x minus x sub 1.
Okay, and Josh just gave you point slope form. So another one of those ones that we have to remember. But this has been a while. This is the slope formula. In other words, we're going to determine the rise over the run. Rose?
Y equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1.
Okay, she's really close. She said y equals, it starts with m equals, because isn't that our slope? M?
Yes.
So m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1. Remember this now? Over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Yeah, we're going to use our slope formula first. Then we're going to take that slope that we get, and one of the points, and notice what it says, either one. It does not matter. You get to pick. You look at them and you say, I like you better. Use that one then, okay? And we're going to write the equation in that form that Trey gave us, slope-intercept form. Okay, I got to do a better job with that than I just did. Okay. So slope formula, put that back. And this one, slope-intercept form. I just didn't give myself enough room because I write so big.
Point slope form is the next one.
And then rewrite the equation. Oh, that's my problem. That's my problem. This isn't slope-intercept form. Erase. Erase with me. Sorry. I know. It's a big sigh. Use the slope and one of the points and write it in point slope form. Okay, we're going to write it in point slope form, the one Josh gave us. And then we're going to do what we did yesterday, and we're going to put it into slope-intercept form, the one that Trey gave us. Yes, Trey?
To put it in point slope form, will we need a y one and an x one?
We will. Remember, we only need to pick one of the points.
So how would we get 2 points?
Okay, we'll work the problem and then we'll see what happens, okay? But I am finally right. First we're going to put it in point slope form, and then we're going to put it in slope intercept form, okay? So it is quite a process. So you got to stick with me. You got to be engaged here, okay? So we have these 2 ordered pairs right here, and they want us to write an equation in slope-intercept form for it. So that's going to be our instructions in your homework today. Write the equation that has these 2 points in slope-intercept form. Well, we can't get there right away. We're going to have to do those. We have 3 steps to do. Step number 1 is we're going to find the slope. We're going to find that m. We have to find it. So if we're going to find m, we're going to have to use our slope-intercept form, our slope formula, I mean. Gosh, why do I keep saying that? So we're going to go m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2, take away x sub 1. Just algebraic language. Write it down. Because you seem to have forgotten it. Okay, now if you remember right, what we did before is we decided which point gets to play which role. So, ordered pair 1, negative 2, which one do you want that one to be? The first point or the second point?
First.
Let's make it the first point. Okay, so that will be our x sub 1, y sub 1. And our other point, 310, will have to be the role of the second point, x sub 2, y sub 2 then. Doesn't matter which one gets which roll, but you gotta make a decision. And then you have to plug those into your slope formula, okay? So we will do m equals, what's going in for y sub 2? 10. Take away, we always have subtraction there to start with, always have subtraction there to start with. And what are we going to take away from that? The y sub 1, which is -2. And then downstairs we have the x sub 2, which is 3, and we take away the x sub 1, which is 1. Okay. So now we will say, okay, I'm going to change this to add the opposite, and I will be able to get a good slope. So it doesn't change that subtraction, it has to be there to start with. What's 10 plus 2?
12.
12. What's 3 plus a -1?
2.
2. So m equals 6. So for right now, we're not going to put it over 1 yet, okay? Because we just want to use this now, along with one of the points, to put it into point slope form, okay? So let's make sure we all remember and understand how we got the slope. Any questions on finding the slope? Okay, then next bullet point was point slope form. We want to put this in point slope form next. Well, for point slope form, we need the slope, which we have. And we need one of the points, and we get to pick. We get to play favorites. It does not matter which one we use, though. So some of you in this room could use the first ordered pair, the first point, and the rest of you could use the second point, and we're all going to get the same answer in the end. Okay, so you want to use the one that doesn't have any negatives in it?
Yeah.
Use the second one, 310? Okay. Let's use 310. And the crazy part is, here's the deal. This might confuse you a little bit. But try and stay with me. Now that we've chosen this point to be the one we want to work with, we just liked it because it didn't have any negatives in it. Even though before it was playing the role of the second point, it's now going to play the role of the first one. It doesn't matter. We get to say, you know what? I'm using this point. This is going to be my x sub 1, my y sub 1 now for my point slope form. So it's just playing a different role in our point slope form. But they all come from the same line, the same equation, so it's okay. They can share. So here's what we've been doing the last couple of days. Writing down our model for point slope form. And substituting into it. So we're going to substitute in for our y sub 1. What are we going to put in for y sub 1?
10.
10. We're going to substitute in for our slope. What are we going to put in for our slope?
6.
6. We're going to substitute in, we don't substitute in for x, but we substitute in for the x sub 1. What are we going to put in for that?
3.
3. So we substituted in those 3 pieces just like we've been doing. And we're going to do what we typically do. So we're going to say this is going to become y plus a -10. This is going to become 6 times x plus a -3, doing our changing subtraction to add the opposite. Do it. Okay, why don't you guys go ahead and finish this up, because you know how. You really don't need me. Okay, and in reality, folks, what happened here is, let's see, let's go back up and see how I wrote this up here. Rewrite the equation in slope-intercept form. So in reality, once it was in point-slope form, we're at the third bullet right here when we get to this. Put it in slope-intercept form, that's what we have right there, don't we? So we're doing point-slope form, and then getting it transformed, getting it renamed. Can this be cleaned up?
Yes.
To what?
Y equals 6x minus 8.
Y equals 6x minus 8, our final answer.
So we did all that work on that.
We sure did.
It's gonna be really long.
Now, here's some good news though. Let me, make your day. Maybe. Since they gave us 2 points, how many points does it take to graph a line? 2. Let's graph those 2 points. And let's just see how well we did getting an equation by using the 2 points to get our graph instead of the equation to get our graph. Okay. So let's graph our ordered pairs that we had in the very beginning. We had 1, -2, and 3, 10. So graph those. Put both of those points on your graph. And then I want you to draw the line. And do a good job of putting your ruler through those points to try and get a good line.
That's a really small margin.
It's not a small line, it's just as long as any other line because it goes on forever in both directions.
No, it's tall.
Oh, it's a steep line, you mean? Is that what you mean? Yeah, it's a very steep line.
So then the one.
Okay, how do you think we can feel good about whether we have a good equation or not? Anybody have any ideas? That would be one thing we can look for. Trey?
Oh, whether or not the line is positive or negative.
Whether or not the line's positive or negative. Because we got a, what kind of a slope did we get? A positive or a negative? We got a positive slope, and the line is rising from left to right, so that's a good thing, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, what else do you think we can feel good about? Every line crosses the y-axis, does it not? Looking at our equation in slope-intercept form, where should it be crossing the y-axis at? No, 6 is the slope. Where should it be crossing the y-axis at, according to our equation? -8. Is it crossing the y-axis at -8?
B was -8, B was the y-intercept.
Yeah, B is the y-intercept, and here's our B right here, isn't it? This is our B right there. Mx plus B. So mine's crossing at -8. That would be right here. I'm liking mine. How about you? So we can look and see if our line matches our equation. And it does, doesn't it? It's rising from left to right, like it should because we got a positive slope. It's crossing the y-axis at -8. Feeling pretty good about this. Okay, let's go to the back and practice another one. Okay, what's our first step again? We're going to have to find what? What's our first bullet point? We gotta find the slope. So our first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna use our slope formula to find the slope. So let's just go up here above and give these guys their names. Do you want the first one? Should we just do it in the order they are this time? For this one gets to be the first point, and the other one will be our second point. doesn't matter, but we gotta make a decision. Right?
Do we have the opposite on these two?
Do we add the opposite on these two? Not right away, but first we do the substitution step, and then we're gonna change it to add the opposite, okay? So we're gonna substitute in, we're gonna do -1 for y sub 2, subtract, we're gonna put 3 in for y sub 1. We're going to put 6 in for x sub 2, subtract, and for x sub 1 we're going to put in -2. So this is not new. This is already in our skill bank. Now we change it to add the opposite. -1 plus -3, 6 plus the opposite of -2, which is +2.
So wouldn't it be 2?
So let's see. -1 plus -3. Negative or positive 4?
Positive.
It'd be
A negative plus a negative
negatives.
is still a
Negative.
negative. And 6 plus 2 is 8.
So 4 can go into 8, not 1/2.
4 can go into 8 2 times, but 4 is upstairs, not downstairs, right? So is it 2 or is it 1/2? It's 1/2 because the bigger number is downstairs. So we say 4 goes into itself once, it goes into 8 2 times, so it is 1/2. But then we also have to account for the fact that we have a negative and a positive. So what does that do?
Negative.
Makes it a negative, doesn't it? So our slope is -1/2. Okay. So now let's go on to the next step, which is we need to do the, let's just make this little note here so we don't forget what we're doing. We're doing point slope form. We need the slope that we just got. And we need one of our points. Which point should we use? Should we just use the first one? -2, 3. They both have a negative in them, so one's not really any better than the other, right? Okay. So then, remember, those numbers have a role, x sub 1 and y sub 1. So, our model, which should be so memorized by now, we substitute into it. So just like we do when we substitute into the slope formula, we leave the subtraction while we're substituting in. Okay, so our substitution step.
So, as I'm going around looking at papers though, you guys aren't putting this in.
You're not writing down the slope and the point you're going to use? You need to do that. You need to write down what is the slope and which point are you going to use, because you have a choice today. You have 2 points. You and I need to know which point did you use and with the slope. So, Mrs. Creviston is noticing that you're not writing this step down. You need to do it. You need to write that. Now we're ready to change it to add the opposite. And before we do our multiplication. So we're going to change to add the opposite, then we're ready to put into, now it's kind of like, it's in point slope form. Now we're going to get it into slope intercept form. Okay, so go ahead and get this into slope intercept form. Again, this is what we've been doing the last few days. Half of 2 is 1. Negative times a positive is a negative. So don't be afraid of those fractions. equation I do when you're done, you can check. And then go ahead and graph the 2 points that they gave us and see if we like its match with our equation. So we're graphing the 2 points that they gave us in the beginning. That's how we're graphing it today. We're using the points they gave us. And then asking ourselves, do we like what happened? According to us, we got a negative slope. Does our line have that kind of behavior? It does. It's falling from left to right. What's the other thing we want to look for? I have a problem with mine, don't I? Did I graph mine wrong? Oh, my thing moved. That's what that caused the problem. Okay, I have to undo some stuff here. Mine moved. My whole graph thing moved on. So I don't know how long I can undo drag and drop. That's what happened. Okay. So is yours crossing where it should cross the y-axis? Where do we think it should cross the y-axis at, according to our equation? At +2. And it is, isn't it? It's crossing at +2 right here. So when we look and it's got negative, it's falling from left to right, so that matches our negative slope. So we're feeling pretty good about this. Okay, we got to do one more together because you'll have a problem like this that'll pop up every now and then. They're going to give you the x-intercept and the y-intercept. What do you think, Trey?
For this one, we just started with the y minus y1 equals m. Points.
Did they give us the slope?
No.
No, they didn't give us the slope, did they? Right?
Or the x-intercept, it would be crossing the x-intercept at 3, so we plot point at 3 and -6 on the y-axis.
Okay, so do you want to go right to work just maybe plotting it, those points, and then that'll help us? Okay, so we're going to go to the x-axis and we'll put a point at 3 on the x-axis because that's the x-intercept. Okay? And then the y-intercept is -6. So that means we're going to go to the y-axis and put a point at -6. Okay.
Oh guys, we got a graph done.
We haven't got an equation. That's what we need. Huh, Trey?
Should we use
Should we use the counting method? I suppose we could do that. You want to do that?
We gotta do rest or run.
We gotta do, but we gotta, so he says, should we use the counting method? He says we gotta do rise over run. What do those, are those the same thing? Oh, basically they are. Oh, well, okay, well, let's take this shortcut then. I'll let you guys do that. Draw the line first, though. Draw the line through your 2 points, please. Okay, so we're looking for M, right? That's our first thing, find slope. So if we're going to use the counting method, that means we're going to do, instead of our formula, we're going to do rise over run. Right? Is that what you said? We're going to count? Okay, so go ahead and count. You see if you can get the slope by counting on your graph. There's 2 different ways you can do it. You can start at either point. So you got 2 different directions you can go. Agree with me or disagree? Agree?
But if we don't have to have graphic points first, all that we do is find the right to line up exactly, and use the line instead.
Okay, so okay, if we're going to use the x-intercept and the y-intercept and we're not going to graph them first, then we have to use the slope formula, don't we? Yeah. Okay, so could we use the slope formula with this? Absolutely, how could we? Do we have 2 points?
Yeah.
What are their ordered pair names? What is the ordered pair name for this one? 3, 0. What's the ordered pair name for that one? 0, -6. So we could have used the slope formula. And if we use the slope formula, we should get the same thing as if we use the counting method, correct? Okay? Now, we're gonna only, I'm not saying you get to do the graph and use the counting method every time you find the slope in your homework. There's gonna be one time I'm gonna let you do it, and that's in this case. When they give you the x-intercept and the y-intercept, that's when I'll let you do it, okay? Okay, because they already gave us the y-intercept, that's why I'm gonna let you do it this way. So we are gonna say that the slope is what? It's not 6/3, it's just 2, isn't it? Doesn't that simplify to 2? Okay. Well, do we have to put that and one of the points into point slope form to get slope intercept form, do you think? Since we're into shortcuts on this one, let's see if there's another shortcut we can take. Slope intercept form. Let me say that again. We need an equation in slope intercept form. What intercept are they talking about?
The last one, which is
What
y equals mx
the
plus
y, okay, but in y equals mx plus b, slope intercept form, which intercept are they talking about? The what? The y-intercept. Well, they gave us both of them, so we gotta know which one to use, don't we? We need the y-intercept. Well, we know that, don't we? What is it? -6. So we're gonna write down b equals -6. We're taking shortcuts. Remember, we're into shortcuts on this one. And now we say, oh, well, all I have to do now is substitute into slope-intercept form, which is, we replace the m and the b only. So what's our equation going to be? It's going to be
y equals 2x plus negative 6.
y equals 2x plus -6. And of course, we know that can be what?
-6.
Cleaned up, yep, to -6. So we're gonna say our final answer for this one is y equals 2x, not plus, -6. So which one do you get to take this shortcut on? Which time? These kind. When they give you the x-intercept and the y-intercept, go ahead, take this shortcut. As long as you have a graph, provided that you're going to be able to graph it and do the counting method, right? Does anybody have questions at this point? Okay, will you get our sheet of paper and write down your assignment on your heading?